Hello everybody and welcome back to One Hub Racing. Colin and myself are here for the P3 tier, of course, round 9 in Qatar. And Cole, it's raining in the desert.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Absolutely pelting down. So the drivers are obviously aware of this a couple of hours ago due to our adaptive weather scenarios that we do here at One Hub. And the qualifying session is going to be very wet to light cloud. So it will get drier throughout the session.
Now, of course, very wet on this game usually means full wet tyres, and wet means into tyres. That's kind of how it's set up. However, because the rain is going to stop, we expect to see some drivers come out on the intermediate straight away, which is why you're seeing a mixture on the graphics of the tyre icons on the left-hand side of your screen. So lots of drivers heading out on out laps as we speak, some on the full wets, others like Proverb, Lawrence, Gaza and Lindfolk on the intermediate tyres. And Colt, these laps are just going to be about getting a bit of practice because we know there's rain coming in the race as well.
Yeah, so these laps are not going to be competitive come the end of the session, but it's a good cycle lap for the drivers. Gets the rest off, settles the nerves as well, because obviously a lot of these drivers are fighting for big points and potential trophies at the end of the season as well. But yeah, these aren't going to be very competitive lap times towards the end, but it will give us an idea, Nick, of what is good in the West.
Yeah, I think also qualifying session, it's going to be a case of where it's drying up. Will it be slick tyres come the end of the session, or will Inters be the quicker compound to be on? We'll obviously have to wait and see. No DRS, of course, when it's raining, so we'll keep an eye to see whether that gets enabled at any point. And also, Cole, track limits here, mega tough around Qatar. What do we think? Do we think just keeping it within the white lines in this session should give drivers some good results?
Yes. What you don't really want to do is only leave yourself one run, because these are going to be in, relatively unfamiliar conditions. Not many people are going to do much wet running around this circuit. And like you said, Nick, it's so easy to get track limits here. You could end up in a situation where you haven't put a lap in.
Yeah, and I think these sorts of sessions are where we get mixed up grids, which is what we all love to see. But 18 drivers in the P3 tier tonight sorted out the early season attendance issues. A lot of new drivers in this tier who didn't start the season here. And of course, Jacob Crown, the Season 3 Drivers' Championship, has moved up to the P2 tier early on, as well as Burjax, Kinney and Mr. Zontal. So they'll be on at 6 p.m. tonight, the P2 tier, and then of course Cole will be live at 7:30 for the P1 tier. But this is all about, at the moment, finding out. The weather's on approximate. When is it going to dry up as Bolton sets the first lap time of 1:43.3, immediately beaten by Hockey Night, who was your driver of the day after last week, and Quinn comes and trumps it. So you're going to see that message a lot at the top of the screen, fastest lap.
Yeah, that's going to be popping up very regularly through this session. It's quite tricky for the drivers here now, because they know that they want to be out late, but they want to get a rough idea of where they need to be a bit careful, where they're likely to get track limits under these conditions as well. But I got to say, a 40.3 in these conditions, that is quite fancy from Quinn there. And we know Quinn's good in the rain. We've seen it in the past. So I expect Quinn to have a good session.
Yeah, had a difficult start to the season in P2, and then moved down to the P3, and it's continued to be tricky for him, involved in some incidents. I think he's had car damage most races in the P3 tier. But tonight's a chance to redeem yourself. Obviously, round 9 calls, so there's only going to be 3 races left after this session. Apologies, I just realised that we'd been riding on board with Proverb for quite some time. Let's jump on to Matthias. But Cole, how important is it going to be the last driver to set a lap time here in this session?
It's going to be crucial. I wouldn't be surprised that, the last couple of drivers crossing the line will be the drivers on pole position, because the track is forever improving, forever going quicker, even in those, or especially in the last couple of seconds. So, you do not want to be setting your last lap with 2 minutes to go. You are going to be swamped by the cars later on.
Let me ask you this, Cole. Why do drivers often, in qualifying sessions where it's raining, put a little bit extra fuel in and do consecutive lap times?
Yeah, that can actually help. And one thing that we've noticed here is that the tyres these intermediate tyres don't wear that strongly. You've still got plenty of tyre life left with a couple of laps on board them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of drivers do a couple of stints. Maybe a hot lap, cool down, and then another hot lap.
Yeah, of course, you gain your airs back quicker in wet weather conditions. So, as we see, your dad, Gerald Mason, sliding the rear of that car through the tricky right-hander, following that big curb, but you don't want to go more than 4 wheels, using all of the track on the left-hand side on his latest lap. A little bit deep there, but we'll get a good exit using the curb, Colt, and we head towards this high-speed section of the continuous right-handers. But of course, in the wet, it's not going to be flat. 1.5 seconds quicker your dad is. Vitinho at the top at the moment, and look at that, wet into wet into wet into wet into wet. Sounds like a song, but just shows you both tyres. It is that crossover point.
Yeah, exactly that. Moogs is in the chat. You guys think softs or inters as last lap? Honestly, I think that's 50-50, as there's Mason doing a 40.2 on the wets. Lawrence trumps that with a 38.798 on the inters. So the track is drying.
I think the other thing, Cole, is that where the weather's on approximate, every single session is going to be different, so
exactly.
As much as drivers can plan for when it's going to rain, what lap it's going to rain, it could be different in their actual session tonight. So it's funny, Cole, we often get, when there's these mixed weather conditions, we often get drivers from the P2 and the P1 tier watching this session because they want to find out when the weather is going to kick in, as Gaza sets a 37.5 on intermediate tyres. They watch the session because they want to see when the earlier tiers, what happens, when the drivers pit, who makes the mistake on strategy calls.
Yeah, exactly that. They're looking for any bits of help and advice that they can get their hands on, really. Whether that be strategy, when to pit, when not to pit. But of course, we've got safety cars potentially. I don't expect to see many around here, though, Nick, at Qatar. The walls are quite far away, but you never know.
Yeah, obviously carrying a lot of high speed through, a lot of these corners around here. And Colin, we both agreed that put grass either side of these curbs and the white lines instead of all this, runoff painted area, and then eventually a bit of gravel. And if you put grass there, this track would be incredible, as Lawrence sets a 36.000.
Wow.
But it can do that again if he tried. But it's in terms of enjoyment on a qualifying lap, Cole, this track is right up there with the best.
Oh, I love it. It's so fast. I think there's only one real slow corner, to be honest. And I think that's the only. I'm just thinking
Matt
about it now.
Goes fastest as well.
Yeah, it's the only corner on. I think there's only one third gear corner on the whole track, and the rest are 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, even 8th. So this is a blinder of a track, really quick. As Max there, like you said, then 45.4. But still, with 7 minutes to go, so this track is only going to get quicker and faster and drier.
Yeah, you're seeing now all the drivers other than Vitinho and Hockey Knight on intermediate compounds, because at this stage they are going to be quicker. Quinn's on a quick lap, has a little bit of oversteer as he breaks into the final corner. Really tricky final corner, this one, Cole, because you need to get on the powers as quickly as possible, and a 34.3. So, you know, going 1.1 seconds quicker at the moment, Quinn, just every lap out there is going to be ramping up.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, that last corner is quite tricky. It's so important to get a good exit. You know, it's not how quick you go into that corner, it's how quick you come out the other side. And a bit of a snap for Quinn, but still does a 34.3, and Lawrence has just pipped him with a 34.2.
Yeah, the top three covered by 2.5 tenths. We've got Proverb now on a hot lap as he takes a left-hander, penultimate corner there. And what is he going to be able to do? Is he going to then go quickest? Someone jumps up there. Bolton jumps up to 4th. So a second off currently. What's Proverb going to do? It's a 135.5. He's up to 6th position. So that's a decent lap there from Bolton, Colt.
Yeah, that is a very good lap from Bolton in the Alpine there. That was very impressive. Obviously, it's very difficult as Lindfalk now goes quicker, but it is very difficult to judge. You don't know the wear levels of their tyres or the fuel loads. Not like a normal dry qualifying session, but we know Proverb is good round here. He won here the last time out in P2 tier, so we know he's good here.
Yes, and look at the top three, separated by less than half a tenth of a second. So it just shows you, even in wet weather condition, Cole, you still can get, you know, the drivers will drive the track pretty similar based on that. Dr. Mew up to 12th position on his latest lap. Ride Dog now on a lap. So interestingly, Lawrence choosing to do 5 laps on those inters, currently with the second fastest time. And then you got now the fastest time. And then you got Lindfalk and Quinn just behind half a second now. Well, pretty much the 4 drivers after Lawrence, just choosing to do the 1 lap on those inters. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Fuel the car up and just go for it lap after lap, and that's what Lawrence has done to find his way to the top of the timesheets.
Yeah, you feel it's going to be a very, very busy couple of minutes now. You can see there's quite a few drivers in the pit lane, and a couple are going to be starting their out laps soon. I'm just waiting for the graphic to change so I can see how many minutes are left. I think it's around the 5-minute mark. But you can see it is still raining, so, you know, slicks are not even close at this stage.
No, it's going to have to be a quick crossover if as Rydog jumps up to 4th place with his latest lap. So drivers have got to make the decision, Cole. When do they make the call on inters or, you know, soft tires? Because there's so many variables. One thing I was thinking about earlier was on the inters, I'd probably want to do more than 1 lap on them to get them up to temperature.
Yeah.
If it is going to be inters are the quickest tire, but of course then you've got to head out early. But if you head out early and it does dry up, you're going to want to be on soft. So we see that Joe's put them on and Probo have put them on. So they're in the pits and they're waiting. 4 minutes left in this session. Gaza on a quick lap now on his inters. So drivers have got to make the decision now. Drivers like Gaza, who's on a lap, 3.5 minutes, Cole, he's either got to box this lap or he's sticking with inters.
Yeah, exactly that. I suspect that he's going to box this lap, but he's leaving it really tight. You know, he's gonna. I think you're right. I think he's going to have to box this lap, otherwise, he's going to have to carry on. Hopefully, he's got enough fuel in the car. Yeah, I think he's going to carry on. Looking at that.
So Jamie's committed. Jamie's committed to inters. So has Fury Formula. They're on outlaps. So has Bolton. As Gaza does go quickest, that means he's committed to inters as well. And I think it's drying up, Cole. There is no rain.
So the rain has now stopped. But of course, the track can still be a little bit damp in places. It's still not necessarily ready for slicks. DRS is still disabled. So I suspect we're at that crossover point now where it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yep, and it's all going to be as Bolton, sorry, someone invalidated his lap time. Who's that? Max is off on his inters into the gravel. So he must have made a big mistake to end up in the gravel around here as he rejoins the track with dirty tyres. So the Red Bull gets out of the way. So who's still in the pits? Quite a few drivers still in the pits. Most of them have fitted the soft compounded tyre. Quinn's coming out the pits on a new set of inters, interestingly. Wow. So he's left it late, and he's gone on inters, and just getting out of the way. The car is on a lap. So a minute 50, Colt. You're going to want to be the last driver crossing the line. Is it inters or is it dries?
Well, one thing so let's have a look. Drivers are coming out now. Matthias is still in the pit lane. He's not left. He's not going to have time. That is his session done and dusted. Matthias has put the softs on, but he hasn't left. He hasn't left enough time.
Yeah. And what about Ride Dog? He's crossed the line now. What, minute 20? Sorry, he's come out the pits a minute 20. He's going to absolutely have to nail this outlap to even have a chance of completing a fast lap. And you can see he's struggling. So I don't think Ride Dog's left himself enough time, Cole.
No, nor do I. I think he's left it too late. I think he hasn't realised that the outlap is going to be very, very tricky on the softs until you get up to temperature. So they're going to be very, very slow. Mason now coming round the last corner, nails the throttle. What's this going to be? Surely it's going to be an improvement. It's pole, but I don't think that lap's going to stay up there for long.
No, unfortunately, if he backed out of that lap, he could have, as DRS is now enabled, so it's time for dries. He could have done this final lap now as his final lap, so he would have crossed the line a minute 30 later on. Who was that? Fury Formula pops up. Miles pops up into pole position on a new set of inters, a 130.7. So there we go. The Alpine currently on provisional pole. Keep an eye on those soft runners.
Yeah, let's see now. So who have we got? Lawrence on an out lap. Matthias in the pit lane. He's not improving. Joe is just starting his lap. So let's have a look at Joe then. I'll go on board him myself. Let's see. Oh, the grip, Nick. It's certainly not bone dry, but he has a lot of grip there.
Ride Dog. I was just riding on board with Ride Dog. He didn't make the cut, Colt, as we expected.
Didn't make it. Such a shame. It must have been only a couple of seconds in it. Joe is 3.4 seconds up.
Gaza jumps up to a 29.8 on those intermediate tyres, so he did get another lap in. But who's the first soft runner? Proverb jumps up, and it's slower than the inters. So Lawrence on a lap. Who else we got? Matthias is in the pits. Ride Dog won't improve. Joe. So the two McLarens versus Jack Craig and Hockey Night all on. Hockey Night's 9 seconds quicker.
Wow. So that will put him at the minute in the 31s. But of course, he's still got an improvement down here. Let's see what it's going to be. It's a 27.2. Look at that on the softs. That is pole by an absolute street.
Quinn crosses the line. Joe comes across the line to take pole position. Jack Craig comes across the line to take third. What can Lawrence do? Can he deny his teammate and make it 1-2s in a row?
He's only 3/10 up at the moment from sector 2, so he's going to have to dramatically improve in this final sector. He's the last driver now. Here he goes. What's it going to be? It's not going to be pole, I don't think. No, it's only 12 for Lawrence on those.
He must have made a mistake there, Cole, because
must have made an error there somewhere.
But I tell you who should be happy with their laps are Quinn, Bettino, and Gaza. You know, particularly Bettino and Gaza, 3-lap-old inters, and they're starting 5th and 6th. But you have to say, Joe nailed it. He was, right place, right time. His teammate faltered. Hockey Night, Jack Craig line up just behind him.
Yeah, I mean, what a grid that is. That is absolutely brilliant. You could see the mixture. I was quite surprised, like you said, I'm almost certain that Lawrence made a mistake somewhere, because I was expecting him to be, if not pole, in the top 3 with the other soft runners.
And look at Ride Dog all the way down. Last week's winner, all the way down in 16th place because he got it wrong. He left the pit lane too late, and you can see down in 16th place. Matthias as well didn't improve. Get out. And would you look at that, down in 15th place.
So obviously now that is not quite going to be our grid because we do have a couple of grid penalties. There is one 5-place penalty for the Fury Formula. He's getting a penalty from the stewards. And we have 3 drivers taking a gearbox penalty, Nick. That is being Max, the Fury Formula, and Dr. Mew. So that will be organised by Jamie when we get back into the lobby. But what a qualifying session that was. I was really surprised to see the softs make an appearance, Nick. I got to be honest.
Yeah, it's as we said, when it's on approximate, every session is different. And of course, you know, the P2 and the P1 tier will be watching this going, what's going to be like in my tier? So same set of conditions for all tiers, but of course, when it's on approximate, it can change slightly, which is all part of the fun. But expect the drivers to all just crash out of this race. And then as Colin said, we'll be going back to the lobby to apply some grid penalties. And of course, Colt, they're taking new gearboxes because at some point during the season, every driver has to take a new engine and a new gearbox, which do result in a grid penalty.
Exactly that. So it's 10 for the engine, 10 places for the engine, and then 5 for the gearbox. So you can see the drivers having a bit of fun, knowing that we got the lobby restart. Hopefully that turn 1 will be less chaotic than that. But Nick, it's going to be very interesting now for these drivers regarding strategy, because they know there's rain coming, but they don't really know when. It's on approximate. So are they going to try and stretch it out? So they do 2 runs, maybe on a medium, and then maybe 2 mediums, medium hard to the inters, or do they go for the 3 stops anyway and then judge whether to come in for inters at the end? That's going to be a decision these drivers are going to have to make.
Yeah, I think we were saying earlier, Cole, weren't we, that you've either got to run the race, your normal dry strategy, and if it rains, react, or you got to run your strategy for the rain, in which case you're risking yourself, if it doesn't rain, losing a whole load of positions. So whichever drivers get it right, are going to be finishing higher up. And of course, if you can keep these penalties down from corner cuts and track extendings, then, you could be on with a great result here tonight. But yeah, really tricky for the drivers, Cole. And it's a little bit of a shame, actually, because this is the one track where the soft tyres are really decent.
Yeah, it's quite ironic, really. It's probably one of the first tracks for actually using the softs as viable, and they're probably not going to touch them much because they're expecting the rain to come. And like Jess says in the chat, if there's a safety car, then definitely inters, without a shadow of a doubt. One safety car. Nick, that rain's going to come a lot quicker.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because obviously the race time will be extended, so the drivers will be on track for longer, which means the rain will come sooner, and they'll have to continue driving into the rain towards the end of the race. So when will it come? Will it come the last couple laps? Will it come 5-6 laps to go? How will drivers plan their strategy? It's really interesting. I'm really excited for this race, Cole, with the weather the way it is. It's really spiced it up. Not often you see rain in the desert around Qatar, but
No,
here tonight in One Hub, you're in for a treat.
This is where, so it was actually, for anyone wondering, this adaptive weather system was Nick's idea. Now, when he pitched it to myself, I thought, this guy has had too many ciders. But I couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, it is my personal favourite feature of One Hub. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's the roughly the same for each tier. Obviously we put it on approximate. And it really is a fantastic feature. Jess says the same thing. My favourite feature. Miles agreed. That and the mandatory 2-stop. And it really makes the drivers think they've got to use their strategy brains, and they're going to have to think on the fly tonight, Nick.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think when the adaptive weather system was introduced for season 25 or 26.
Was it that late? Was it?
I got a feeling it was on last year's game, but I could be wrong. But I think when it was actually, with all the, to give everyone a bit of background, whilst we've got some time, Jamie sent out a lobby. All these sort of changes, we usually do a management vote, so the whole team will vote what they're in favour for. And they voted not to have this idea of the adaptive weather system. And it's very rare that, as the owner, I go against the team and I kind of override and say, no, we are doing this.
It's the first time it's happened, I think, and only, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think I felt so strongly and passionate about it, and it's another exciting feature for the season, and I think drivers enjoy that feeling on a Sunday of what's the weather going to be, which is all part of that experience here that we offer at One Hub.
Yeah, and one thing that I never thought of is that it's even more like being a Formula One driver as well, because the drivers have the same thing. When they get up in the morning, they find out what the weather's going to be that day, because the forecast might say something, but that doesn't really mean much. So we kind of get that world with this system as well. The only difference is we do get to get a bit of practice on it, Nick.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, no one generally practices the rain before this system, so it was always frustrating as a driver where you get into the lobby qualifying, you check the weather, and it's heavy rain all race, and you're just like, oh, for God's sake, So at least any time it rains in the adaptive weather system, it's a mixture of conditions, which obviously
exactly that
provides entertainment, and that's what we're here to do. So we are heading into the race. Jamie has set the grid. Good job, Jamie, for getting that done nice and quick. And now drivers will be choosing their strategy, choosing their fuel call. Do you think they'll be altering their setup in terms of the anticipation for the rain?
I would expect so. Not dramatically. So I don't think they're going to go for a full wet setup, for example, because there's far too many laps to be completed before that rain comes. They're going to find themselves way back in the grid. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a few alterations, a few clicks here and there on the rear wing and on the front wing.
Alrighty, so as we're sitting in the garage, we're going to be able to see one of the RB's tyres, what they'll be starting on here tonight, one of my favourite features. So I can already see that he's switched over to the mediums, that left-hand RB garage. But go on, Colt.
I was just going to say, we can't work out which driver it is, so that driver doesn't get a disadvantage. All we know is that one of the RBs is going to be starting on the mediums, but keep a close eye on the tyre because it might change.
Yeah, I think I think the right garage is empty, so I think the sole RB here tonight, which is possibly Dr. Mew. But overtaking Cole, obviously dirty air is a new feature for this game, and around this track with such high-speed corners, oh wow, someone has readied up before they should have, because we got the 5 red lights, and away we go.
Yeah, that was a very quick start. Let's have a look. Is it a clean start? It looks though, yeah, Joe keeps the lead. Hockey Night thought about the inside, but thinks better of it. We've got a Ferrari off in the background, Nick. There's a bit of chaos at the back. Mason's up to 8. Florence is up to 8, Bolton up to 6. So there's been a big change. Fury Formula down to 16th. Jamie is 17th. Jamie's had an absolute nightmare of a start.
Yeah, drivers will not be prepared for someone readying up that quickly, so hopefully they've loaded their setup, they had time to pick their strategy. You can see quite a few drivers starting on hards. Is that because they didn't get time to change? Not too sure. So someone's going to be getting a penalty after this race, and perhaps Cole, stewards need to look at increasing that penalty, because when this sort of thing happens, it can be devastating for some drivers. As you can see, some are falling down the order. A lot of drivers on hard, some on soft, some on medium, so right mixture here tonight.
It really is. So let's have a look to see who are the big winners and losers from that start. So Rydog is up 6 places, Max up 4, Mason up 3, Bolton up 4, Proverb down 11 places. He had a really good qualifying. Jamie's also down 7 and Vitinho down 5, so they're not going to be happy with their start. I wonder whether Jamie and Proverb came together.
Oh, Bolton's off. Something's happened there at the last corner, and he's retired on track. So that's a big no-no that you don't do in one hub. Never retire on track. And Proverb's definitely been involved in an incident because he's and we see Jack Craig and Quinn going side by side through turn 2. Quinn currently ahead. So mixture of strategy here, Cole. Who do you think's on the right one?
Honestly, I have absolutely no idea. The only thing I will say is I believe the soft runners, I think they could be on a not an ideal strategy. I can't see them making it till the end. Matthias, he's got huge front ring damage. He's going to have to box. He came together with his teammate Linfalt. They both came together. Matthias comes off worse. He's going to have to box, Nick. This is not good for his championship.
I tell you what, Ride Dog is a man on a mission. Up another place, passing JR Mason into 7th position. Now got a couple seconds before he reaches the next car a mile. So you can see the little gap there on the map down in the bottom right-hand corner of the Mercedes. So how quickly can he close that gap? Of course, DRS will be enabled. Lawrence is now on the back of JR Mason. So got 3 hard runners in a row here. No penalties yet, but I'm sure those warnings are coming in thick and fast.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. So Bolton didn't get a setup on because someone readied up early. So that could be why he retired on the circuit. He retired thinking we would restart. We are not restarting, but that driver, offending driver, will get a penalty. Yeah, they definitely will. Obviously, we can't restart because we're on a tight schedule with other tiers, but, you know, obviously, what happens if it happens again and again? Do you just keep restarting? Unfortunately, you've just got to penalise the driver that made the mistake, because I'm sure it was a mistake. Drivers are usually pretty good at being patient and waiting for the tier coordinator, but it can have a devastating effect on, you know, drivers' races who haven't been able to load their setup. Ferry Formula's got the biggest gap at the moment between himself and Lingfold, so Ferrari's not having the best start to the race. Gazza got ahead of Jack Craig, so both Red Bulls moving ahead of the Aston at the moment, who's now under attack from Miles. Further on, Vitinho is looking to get right on the back of Matt. Yeah, Vitinho having a good race at the minute. Although he had a poor start, he's kind of brought himself back into this race. I still feel, Nick, that the soft runners, I think they're going to, you know, they're going to struggle to stretch these tyres to the end. Oh, as Vitinho has a look down inside of Max. Max generously leaves a bit of room, and Max looks like he's through. Yeah, looks like the Ferrari. No, yeah, it does have DRS open though, so the Haas does as well, possibly. Yeah, they all do. So closing up on JR Mason though, seems to be falling down the order. Quinn gets himself the first penalty of the race, and look at that, Matt's trying to go around the inside of JR Mason, but he's been around the block and he knows exactly how to defend that corner. And Matthias makes contact with the back of him, tapping the rear wing of the Williams. How aggressive is Matthias going to be? I think it's Linfalt. Sorry, Linfalt. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Matthias is in the pits. He's on the soft tyres, so and he's continually nudging him round the corner. Mason will be literally swearing in his cockpit as Linfalt continually taps the rear of his car. He has got much better tyres, so I expect him to breeze past him down the DRS straight. Well, Quinn, half a second now behind Hockey Knight, who's 1.7 behind Joe. Matthias skips himself a 3-second time penalty, so Joe's got a little bit of breathing room at the moment, but I tell you what, Quinn looks quick here tonight. Quinn looks absolutely rapid in these conditions. He does have a penalty, which is very early on. Matthias has 6 seconds of penalties in only 5 laps, so he's having a nightmare race at the minute, down in 17th as well, 26 seconds behind Dr. Mew. Oh, as we got a lot of fighting going on between Miles and Jack. Yeah, was riding on board with that. Miles gets down the inside. Obviously, Jack Craig keeps on the outside, gets the inside for turn 2, and Miles going slightly wide on
the outside of turn 2 onto the yellow painted surface, and Jack keeps a position. But this means they have fallen out of DRS of the top 4 as Joe extends his lead to 1.9, nearly 2 seconds between the top 2. So the Red Bulls look like they're in for a good result here tonight. They both seem like they've got some good pace, but anything can change with these conditions, which we know are coming. And Mack is all over the back of J.R. Mason now, as looks like Lindfolk has got past somewhere.
Yeah, Lindfolk obviously got the move done, and he's pulled a gap quite quickly, which you'd expect with him on the soft runners, but you feel as though Mason is playing the percentages here. He knows the rain's coming, and he's just settling into the race, as a lot of drivers are. Oh, as Lindfolk goes very, very wide, definitely would have got a warning there. And there you go. There it is. There's the 3 seconds for Lindfolk.
So, further up the order, Quinn's fallen away a little bit from Hockey Night. And look at this in the background. We're going for round 2 between Miles and Craig. This time Miles takes the outside, leaves room on the inside just about for the Aston, but he has got the job done.
Yeah, that's a lovely move for Miles there. Good awareness from Jack as well. He knows it's a long race. We're only lap 6 of 29. Don't want to be losing the front wing this early on at all. And he can just hopefully get in his DRS and see if they can attack these 2 Red Bulls up ahead.
Yes, he definitely will have a go, but Gaza now seems to be the quicker Red Bull out of the 2. Ride Dog on the back of Lawrence, who's on those hard compounded tyres. So we are seeing the hards perhaps maybe start to come into their own. But, you know, all the tyres here, they're under a lot of pressure, under a lot of load. So punctures aren't out the window if you take those softs and those mediums too far. But at the moment, a dry track and heavy fuel, drivers will hopefully be not pushing it to the extreme. Although, as you said, Matthias has got himself a couple of penalties already.
Yeah, so Matthias got 6, Mason just got his 3, Lindfolk's got 3, so has Fury Formula, and so has Quinn. And Quinn's one is very important. He's currently in the top 3. Max also gets a penalty there. But if there's going to be a late safety car, these penalty counts are going to be vitally important. And Nick, they're going to completely change the result.
They will, especially if there's a late safety car. Miles sets the fastest lap of the race that time around. So the Alpine driver who switched to a wheel looks like he's enjoying the Qatar Grand Prix on a wheel compared to a pad.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I'm noticing, Nick, is these softs, I think they're going off. Mason has caught up to Lindfolk. Wapping Proverb is not catching Fury Formula anymore. Same as Dr. Mew. I think these soft tyres are coming to the end of their life. I think they're starting to struggle.
They definitely are. After 6 laps, they've taken a lot of load. And, of course, the tyre tents will be going through the window on some of these cars set up, depending how you've set your tyre pressures up. But nevertheless, Lawrence is slowly closing in on his hard compounded tyres, keeping Ride Dog at bay for now. But Miles is really looking quick. The Red Bulls look like they're going to be under attack rather than trying to go for it against Hockey Night.
Yeah, they seem to be... Quinn just seems to be happy to hold station at this stage and just not take any risks. Does Hockey Night have a lot lower downforce? Quinn just can't get close enough under DRS. Who else is in DRS? Lawrence is just about in DRS of Jack, but not closing in much.
Yeah, I think Hockey Night is running lower wings because he was running none with a third of the straight left to go, and even with a bit of ERS and DRS assistance, Quinn still didn't manage to close in enough to be able to, get alongside in the braking zone. So falling away from Joe at the moment, but it has to be said that those lower wings, keeping everyone else at bay and helping the McLaren get away. Oh, that rhymes.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is that the medium runners now, they seem to have leveled off their pace with the hards. So I think the hards now are the better tyre to be on. This seems to be where these guys are. Now, what's going to be interesting, Nick, is has any driver chosen the harder compound? Is anyone going to do 2 hards to try and stretch it out until the rain comes? That we'll have to wait and see. Jess asking in the chat, I wonder if both Red Bulls are playing the team game. Jess, I think you could be on to something there, because they're just holding station at this stage, but you feel as though they're getting held up now, Nick.
Yeah, and speaking of getting held up, it looks like Lawrence is going to have a go against Jack Craig here, who's doing a good job as he comes into the pits. That's early from a set of medium tyres, but he obviously feels he wants to get rid of them. And Lawrence shoots by. Ride Dog can't do anything because the car in front has the DRS. There is a Sauber kick coming into the pits down there, as well as Vitinho. So 4 drivers choosing to come in, both Ferraris. So are they double stacking? Quinn gets ahead of Hockey Night. Sorry we missed that, everyone. Is Gazza going to try and go down the inside? Thinks about it. These mediums still look like they're pretty good.
Yeah, these mediums still looking good. Certainly on the Red Bull cars. So we got Quinn in second now, and Gazza wants to attack Hockey Night himself now. Not quite got on the podium this season. He's had a couple of fourths, but he's putting himself in a perfect position to try and get that maiden podium of the season.
The 2 Saubers came out very close together as Lingfeldt came out the pit lane there, so just behind his teammate. Going to take a couple laps to fire up those hard tyres, which Vitinho, Lingfeldt and Fury have all gone on. Jack, interestingly, choosing to go back on the medium, so he's looking for an undercut.
Yes, but one thing that does surprise me is that he's not going to get these mediums very far again. You know, maybe lap 19,
Quinn's in.
20 at a push. Quinn is in. So what tyres is Quinn in? That seems also quite early. Is he going to go on another set of mediums? Let's have a look. No, he's going on the hard compound, so I suspect he's going to try and stretch these out now until the rain comes.
Yeah, so obviously the hard tyres will go on for some time, but this is all helping Joe because, you know, the quicker guys now are back behind Hockey Night. He's obviously got that straight line speed advantage, but slightly slower through the middle sector. Jack Craig has come out in, he's just gone past Ride Dog, so that undercut worked well for him. Only a second and a half behind Miles now.
Yes, he's going to have to be a little bit careful on these mediums because he doesn't want to blitz them in the first couple of laps, but that undercut has helped him jump Ride Dog as Quinn now is out in 8th, Miles in 9th. Miles showing good pace. Miles has certainly caught up with Quinn in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, Miles looks like he's got really good pace here tonight. And let's have a look at penalties. So we can see that J.R. Mason, Mac, Quinn, Lindfolk and Fury all have 3, whereas Matthias has 6. So well done to all the other drivers who haven't managed to get any. And if we have a quick look at stops, we can see that everyone from 8th down have completed 1 pit stop, and the top 7 are yet to complete a stop. You can see the field proper spread out now, as Mac is right on the back of J.R. Mason. J.R. Mason getting a good launch there from the final corner, as Gazza and Lawrence are in.
Yeah, Mason had some superb rear grip coming out of that last corner, suggesting he's running a higher downforce setting than the likes of Max, but he seemed to be quite quick down the straight as well. So Mason might be thinking he's going to be in trouble here, but Max is all over the back of the Williams as Matthias sets the fastest lap on hard tyres, which you've got to say is very impressive lap time from Matthias, showing what pace he's really got.
Gazza comes out back behind Jack Craig. Lawrence has come out ahead of Ride Dog, who will be getting massively frustrated having spent most of the first stint behind the McLaren driver. And all drivers now just trying to get some heat into those hard compounded tyres. But yeah, Jack Craig he pitted early, got the undercut on a couple drivers, and he's now right on the back of Miles on that softer compound.
Yeah, working a treat at this stage. Gazza's going to be quite
Joe's
annoyed
in.
at just. All right, so that seems quite early for the hard compound tyres as well, Nick.
Unless he's going on another set.
Let's have a look. Yes,
he is.
So that's one driver who's gone on for the harder tyre strategy, selecting the 2 hard compound tyres. So Joe is now going to stretch these hards out until the wet weather comes, I suspect.
Yeah, where's he going to drop down the order? So he was running in clean air, and is he going to come out just ahead of Jamie? So, yeah, Quinn's got the gap down a little bit. He can see Joe in the distance there now, and he'll be hoping that with these these warmed up hard tyres, although Joe's fresher, he's going to be able to close that gap. But interesting there, Cole. I thought he would have gone slightly longer, even if he was going to hards again, because potentially it could be a long stint compared to the first stint. But let's see how it plays out as Lawrence is all over the back of Gaza, literally pushing him through the double right-hander.
Oh, look at the McLaren Red Bull battle yet again. The lovely, I gotta say, the lovely chrome effect on the McLaren. But look at Rydog, last week's winner at Singapore, and he is all over the back of the McLaren. So as much as Lawrence is attacking Gaza, he's really defending against Rydog as well.
Yeah, great battle, these three. Lots of experience, of course, in one hub racing between the three of them, especially Gaza. But Lawrence, a former champion, so what can he do? Hockey Knight's into the pit lane, so JR Mason is going to take over the lead of the race unless he comes in, which he is. Max stays out.
So Max now will inherit the race lead at this stage. On those hard compounder tyres, Max done incredibly well, I must say. Keeping up pace with Mason, who's on those hards. Now I'm interested to see. And there's another driver, Nick. Mason's also gone on another hard compound. Jamie's doing the same. So these drivers have chosen the harder compound. They weren't comfortable with medium hard. Or 2 mediums, and this is the strategy that they're thinking. So these guys now almost certainly are going to wait for the rain to come, I would have thought.
So Gaza went round the outside of Hockey Night there to get ahead of him in turn 1, and then Lawrence has just got ahead of him before the double right-hander. So Rydog is now going to be frustrated because he's stuck behind Hockey Night. But remember, Hockey Night was the last driver to pit, started on hards. He's done the opposite of some of these guys. He's gone to the medium compounder tyres.
Yeah, so he's going to have quite a considerable tyre advantage over the drivers ahead. So can he, there's going to be a bit of a DRS train, but can he make the move on any of the drivers ahead? He is, look at the speed he's able to carry compared to Lawrence. I was expecting that. I thought he was going to hit the back of Lawrence, but he gets a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, of course, that extra grip, as Rydog also gets one, that extra grip call can often be a sin when it comes to track extending, because you're just not expecting it after being on, worn tyres. Suddenly you've got all this grip, you turn in a bit too early or carry a bit too much speed, and you end yourself with a warning. But Hockey Night can't get ahead of the McLaren at the moment, almost goes into the back of him, just avoids contact between those two, and you can see the penalties are coming in thick and fast at the moment.
They really are. That would have been a heart-in-mouth moment for the Haas driver there. I was convinced he was going to go in the back, just about managed to avoid it. Another 3 seconds there for Miles. You are right, Nick, these penalties, they are coming in thick and fast now. Oh, as Lawrence runs slightly wide, is that going to give Hockey Night an opportunity? Oh, he's going to think about going down the inside. That would have been brave. Thinks better of it. And fights for another day. But Lawrence, without a doubt now, Nick, he's holding Hockey Night up.
Yeah, obviously he's still within half a second of Gaza. So going to be able to get that DRS. But Gaza's also within half a second, or within a second, of Jack. So he'll have DRS. So this is the DRS trains that we talk about. But of course Hockey Night will be getting frustrated because he can't use, as he goes wide again, he can't use that grip that he's got on those medium tyres.
No, and this is the frustrating thing for him. He's got the tyre advantage, but he just can't use them. We got this dirty air, but the DRS train that Hockey's in, he just cannot make any ground as Jack goes defensive against Gaza. Gaza's going to try around the outside. This is going to be a move and a half. As Jack nearly loses it. Not through contact there. That was perfectly clean. Just Jack lost it a little bit on his 6-lap-old mediums.
Lawrence has lost 2 positions to Hockey Night and Ride Dog, so the McLaren driver contrasting fortunes to his teammate who has got past Mac on that latest lap. Of course, on those fresher, hard compound tire. Mac, the only driver yet to complete one of the mandatory 2 pit stops here. So, interesting strategy from him at the moment. How will that play out? Hockey Night already all over the back of Jack Craig, with Gaza getting past the Aston Martin.
Jack is really struggling out there. He really is finding these mediums a bit of a struggle. You can see how much quicker Hockey Night is. I don't think he's going to have the benefit of DRS to Gaza when we come down the main straight. And you can see that there's a bit of a train forming behind him now.
Yeah, interestingly, Mac was burning his ERS into that high-speed section, you know. In theory, you want to save it because you can't pass there anyway, so there's no point in closing out. But he goes wide, and Ride Dog gets past the Haas driver. And now is he going to be able to take Jack Craig? He is.
Look at that. 2 corners in a couple of meters, and poor old Hockey Night, he gets passed by Lawrence as well. So he loses 2 places in about 40 meters. So Hockey Night's going to be very frustrated as he tries to attack Lawrence back, but doesn't quite manage it.
Yeah, really interesting from the Haas driver there. 1 mistake and you lose a couple of positions. And, you know, remember, he was the one pushing Jack Craig through that lap. But Ride Dog now trying to eat that gap to try and avoid the DRS defense from Jack. Lawrence all over the back. And Hockey Night obviously using all the blue run-up area. Interesting through that corner. A lot of drivers tend not to use the blue concrete. But Hockey Night deciding it's for him.
Yeah, we've had Matthias pit. Obviously, he's out of sync after damaging his front wing in the first couple of corners. So he's down now in 15th, 12 seconds behind the Williams of Jamie, both on the hard compound tyres. So who have we got yet to box? I think
it's just Max.
It's just Max.
What strategy is he going for, Cole?
I'm wondering whether he's trying to stretch these hards out to go to mediums. As there he is, just as we mention him, he is in the pit lane. Let's see what tyres that he's going to
surely
select.
softs.
Softs might make it. Let's have a look. Medium tyres is his choice.
Jack Craig's in again.
Let's see where he appears. He wants around Jack, I think.
So Jack Craig has committed to a dry race because he's made his 2 stops and he's on lap 17. And he's put the hards on, which will be going to the end. Where's Jamie going to come out in comparison to these guys? So Mac is out on track. Jamie gets just ahead of Jack Craig. So Jack Craig has completed his 2 stops. He's going to the end of this race. Let's jump back on board with Miles, who has got the gap down to half a second between himself and Gaza. Quinn keeping it stable, the gap between himself and Joe, so Ride Dog gave himself another time penalty. Gaza yet to get one, as is Lawrence, Joe, Vitinho, Proverb, Jamie, Jack, and Dr. Mew.
Yeah, the drivers without penalties, I've got to say, quite impressive. 17 laps in, and no penalties from those drivers, which Joe, Gaza, Lawrence, like you said, and Dr. Mew as well. As Matthias gets another, that puts Matthias on 9 seconds of penalties. Vitinho, I think that will put him on 6. And, you know, we said this at the start of the stream, Nick, you know, these penalties are going to make a big difference come the end of the race. Yeah,
and of course there's still 10 laps to go. So, plenty of opportunity as Lawrence now is going to have a run down Ride Dog, who doesn't find it too hard, surprisingly. Ride Dog obviously stuck behind Lawrence for quite a bit of this race already. I would have thought he would have tried to keep that position for at least another lap, but we're seeing now the gaps appear so that DRS will not come into play.
Yeah, this is the thing now. So you feel as though that you know the drivers are probably asking their engineer now, you know, weather report, when's the rain coming? When is the rain coming?
And they'll probably all be getting different responses, Cole.
Sorry, mate?
They'll all be getting different responses from their engineers.
Probably, yeah. Ranging from it's going to rain in 2 laps to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So they're gonna. Don't forget, they haven't got. This is a night race, so they haven't got the luxury of looking at the clouds to see if they're getting darker, and they haven't got that luxury. They're going to have to rely on their, you know, the actual rain coming down visually on the camera lens.
So Fury Formula is in the pits, gone onto a soft compounded tyres. He'll hope to take those to the end of the race, but unfortunately for him, he is about to be lapped. You can see that there. He lifts off, so he has been lapped by Joe.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Fury being lapped. He really could hope with a safety car, and if he stays out, and the likes of Joe boxes, then he can unlap himself. Unfortunately, he cannot unlap himself under the safety car with this current game.
Gaza, Cole, is the quickest driver in the top 4 at the moment. So you can see that gap coming down between himself and his teammate, a lap younger tyres than his teammate, but also currently quicker than Joe. Yeah,
Joe, though, 6-second lead over Quinn. Quinn also got that time penalty. Joe driving an absolutely superb race so far. Nailing the strategy, you've got to say. No penalties as well, which is another great feat. But you feel as though Gaza's going to be on the back of Quinn very shortly.
Mac all over the back of your dad for 11th and 12th position at the moment, using the curb beautifully there as he heads towards this high-speed section. But I've commented on this before, there's not much point in using the ERS to close up because it makes the dirty air affect your downforce, and you can't pass here, so got to keep it for the straight, in my opinion, and just try and get a good exit out of that last corner, which your dad has been renowned for this race.
Yeah, let's see what he can manage here now. Is he going to defend? Let's have a look. Mason doesn't even use his battery, so he feels as though he's not going to be able to defend him, and Max is nicely through, and that's Max up into 11th spot.
So Gaza now within a second of his teammate. Will there be any team orders here, Cole? Will he get the message to say, I'm quicker, move out the way?
Well, it'd be very interesting. I don't even think they're actually in a party together usually. I don't know whether that's changed for this evening's race. But Gaza, he seems to have the pace, not only on Quinn, but possibly on Joe as well, so there might be a bit of team orders coming.
Yeah, and interestingly, Fury Formula has unlapped himself over Joe down the back there, and I can't remember when it was, but I actually did that once, Cole. I let a driver unlap themselves. I think it was when I was in the P2 tier, he says first half of the race, so that he could have one more lap to attack the car that he was within half a second of. And I remember him messaging me after the race to say, oh, thanks so much for doing that. But Gaza, look at that. He gets the call and he gets ahead of Quinn. We got yellow flags in Sector 3.
Let's have a look. Can't see anything, so I think that was just a minor excursion for one of the drivers. But Nick, that looked almost orchestrated, didn't it? That did look like a bit of team orders there. Quinn certainly not fighting too hard. Good teamwork from the Red Bull team.
Yeah, and not only that, but Gaza has already got the gap down to 5.3. So he's already gained half a second on this lap alone on Joe. So the Red Bull, Gaza, the top two, no penalties. Gaza's on a mission here.
Can Gaza... Oh, Nick, I see rain. There is rain on the camera. We're only lap 21.
And Matthias is in for Inters already.
That, I think, is far too soon for the Kick Sauber driver. I cannot see, but I suppose for Matthias it's worth a punt. But I think the danger Matthias is going to have, he's going to burn his tyres out before the rain even comes. But it is raining, Nick. Nick, that's early.
And it's also on the camera lens already, which means it's coming down heavy, Cole. It's coming down heavy. These drivers are all going to have to box. Jack Craig will have lost out massively because he committed to the dry strategy.
Yeah, this is a big surprise for some of these drivers because this is very, very early. I think this is the earliest I've ever seen this rain come. Don't forget, it is approximate. But, Nick, it's going to take a couple of laps to get the circuit wet enough for intermediates.
How is Gaza going to compare to Joe's pace, as we're seeing Proverb and Lingfelt coming into the pits as well? We imagine they'll be going for the inter tyre. Will everyone, will anyone forget to change to the inter tyre on their strategy, on their MDF? But look at this. Yeah. Gaza's got it down to 4.5 seconds between himself and Quinn. He's loving these conditions. He's almost got Quinn out of a second, and he's closing in on the race leader.
This is brilliant from Gaza. Really showing his experience, chasing down Joe. Joe must be starting to get a little bit nervous at this stage. But is he just taking it easy with these conditions? But Gaza is taking absolute lumps out of him.
Yeah, this is supreme stuff from the Red Bull driver. Quinn's got back within, so Quinn's perhaps used a little bit of hers on this lap. He's got plenty in the tank, actually. And these two are going to chase on the Red Bull. Obviously, the other McLaren of Lawrence up into 4th position now. He's got no penalties as well, so he's currently just behind 3 seconds of Quinn, and this DRS will help Quinn try and eke that gap out. Miles comes into the pit, so the first driver from the top 5. I still think it's perhaps slightly too early, but let's have to wait and see as Gaza gets the gap down to almost 4 seconds, Cole.
Here he comes, the Scotsman. He is chasing down Joe, and he can sense a victory, Nick. He can sense it. He's already having a great drive, I must say, in 2nd place. Oh, we got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Now, is that one of the inter drivers going off? That's cleared very quickly. Miles, going to be very interested to see Miles' time as well.
So Joe has a decent amount of ERS left, but it looks like he's struggling on traction. I've just been riding on board with him this lap, and it looks like he's got a bit of struggle getting on the power, whereas you ride on board with Gaza, and 4 seconds we're at now, and he looks like he's able to get on the power so much earlier than the current race leader.
Yeah, he's got so much confidence. Now, does that mean he's got slightly, higher wing levels to give him this grip in these conditions? But it's whatever it is, it's working.
3.7.
Wow, it's coming down. And Quinn is catching them as well.
Yeah, Gaza, I've been riding on board with Gaza. He looks hooked up to this track. He looks like a man who's in the zone and is liking these conditions. Joe looks like a man who's on the edge of what he's capable of achieving. One McLaren choosing to box before the other. Interesting strategy there.
Yeah, so that he now feels it's time for the intermediate tyres. Just going to keep an eye on his times to see. Miles seems to be struggling. He is not catching Vitinho ahead, really, as Miles laps, I think it's Fury Formula. So who have we got left, Nick? So there's 7 drivers still yet to pit and still on slick tyres. Yeah,
Dr. Mew, the only driver on the mediums, everyone else on the hard compounded tyre. The gap down to 3.7 seconds between the top 2. So both with no penalties. You've got Lawrence on inters in the background. Keep an eye if he's closing that gap to Ride Dog or if it's extending. 21.8 it is at the moment, hovering there for these couple corners. Obviously corner depending where you are on the track.
Yeah, it looks as though at this stage Lawrence is not catching Ride Dog. I think it's a little bit soon. It's probably taken a while to get heat into these intermediate tyres. Oh, as he nearly spins. It is too early, Nick. I think it is too early, but don't forget, this is his out lap, so it might get better, but we're only a couple of laps away from it being, without a doubt, inters, as Joe, our race leader, and Gaza pit at the same time.
So does Quinn. Quinn stays out, so they're not double stacking. And I think Quinn here, as long as the DRS doesn't get disabled this lap, I think it's still probably slightly quicker to be on the hard compounded tyres, as you said. And Joe gets out ahead of Gaza, 3.5 seconds between the top 2 at the moment. Ride Dog also in. So Jamie, Jack, Dr. Mew, and of course Quinn, who's leading this race, yet to stop. The timing screen's buggered up a little bit. There you go, 20.6 seconds we're at. Let's keep an eye on that gap. Oh,
as
Jamie
Jamie
speeds.
gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. This is the risk of being on the track with slick tyres and intermediate weather. He's going to be so disappointed with that. That's certainly going to knock him out of the points.
The gap is extended slightly. Oh, it's back down to 20.6, 20.5 now. So it looks like, I would say, the intermediates are just starting to be the quicker of the two tyre. But Gaza, he likes the rain, and he's got the gap down to 3 seconds between himself and Joe. So this isn't over for Joe.
No, it's not at all. But now, look at the gap at the top. It's coming down. We're under 20 seconds already. It is almost certainly better on the inters at this stage. Just the two drivers of Dr. Mew and Quinn left to pit. Nick, surely Quinn boxes this lap. Surely.
You'd have to say he's got to come in. Jamie is all over the back of JR Mason at the moment. JR Mason running none currently as Quinn gets himself a 10-second speeding in the pit lane. That's ruined his race. We said Quinn hasn't had a clean race since he moved down, and he continues that streak. So, for me, this is going to be all about how can Joe defend from Gaza, who in that Red Bull, for me, is the man to beat.
Yeah, look at it now. 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. This is going to be so close. Just a couple of laps to go. Joe, can he hang on? Can Gaza get his 8th career one-hub victory?
DRS still enabled. So here comes Vitinho down the inside of Hockey Night. So DRS still enabled. So obviously the FIA race director choosing not to disable it at the moment. That's when you get your most likely indicator that it is quicker to be on the wet compounded tyres, Cole. But Jamie still literally pushing his teammate. He's going to go for it here on his teammate with the DRS open. Of course, has that big penalty. So Jack Craig committed to the dry stop, 2-stop, and hasn't paid out for him. He's right down the back of the order, gets ahead of JR Mason as well. So it looks like that Williams of your dad struggling in these conditions.
Yeah, he's not having... Mason always tends to struggle in these conditions. Down in 14th at the minute, relying now on penalties for drivers ahead to get a good result. But Nick, that gap is almost stabilised a little bit. Joe seems to have... Oh, as Quinn gets another 3 seconds. That's really...
Lawrence has made a mistake. Lawrence has made a mistake on the inters, and Miles gets past him.
Wow. And now DRS is disabled, so now it is full inter conditions for these drivers now. Now it's all about surviving the last couple of laps. Joe gains a couple of tenths on Gaza. Is there anything left for Gaza? Can he gain these 2.5 seconds with just a couple of laps to go? And if Joe gets a penalty, Nick, that will knock him off the top step as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you can check, Cole, on Race Director, how many warnings both Joe and Gaza have got. Lawrence looks like he's trying to get back past the Alpine driver of Miles. Ride Dog here to join the party as well, going wide. And Vitinho's looking quick in the rain. He could be joining this party too. But Quinn, of course, going to fall right down the order with that 10-second penalty that he got for speeding in the pit lane. Let's show everyone on board. So Quinn's got 16, Miles has 3, Ride Dog has 6, Vitinho's 3, Hockey Knight's 3, Proverbs none. Hopefully he can jump up. Lingfelt's got 12, 6 for Matt, 13 for Jamie, 3, 9, 9, and none for Dr. Mew towards the back of the field. Cole, 2.2. I think it's going to run out of time, but nevertheless, we'll hype it up for you.
Right, so I've looked at the race director. Gaza only has 1 warning. That's it, just the 1. Joe has 2. The next track extension for Joe, and that's a 3-second time penalty. So he's got to be cautious in these couple of laps. He can't afford to run wide and get a penalty. And you can see Gaza slowly but surely bringing him in.
Here comes Ride Dog on Lawrence before they get to the final corner, trying to go around the outside, goes slightly deep. He's going to try and get the switch back. Vitinho, this helps him close in. No DRS, of course, remembered, so this is all about how much ERS battery do you have left. They're flashing because they're in the rain, but it looks like Lawrence has got the upper hand in terms of straight line speed. Leaves his ERS on during the entry braking to turn 1. This helps Ride Dog side by side.
Look at this side by side. all the way round. Rydog in the lead. In the lead, in fifth ahead. But look at the Ferrari of Vitinho now. He's attacking Lawrence. How wasn't there contact there? Absolutely brilliant driving. This is insane.
Quinn's got the gap down to Gaza, but Gaza's got the gap down to 1.5. The Red Bulls are hunting the McLaren.
They're like sharks hunting their prey at this stage. You feel as though Joe is just seeing that Red Bull get larger and larger and larger in his mirror, and it's down to 1.2, Nick. Look at this. He's gained half a second. Gaza can smell a victory here.
He's got the extra grip. We are going to go to the last lap showdown. We're approaching lap 29 of 29 in intermediate conditions. What can Gaza do? 7/10 of a second. He's got more confidence. Joe is a man who's going to be looking in his mirrors as we head down to turn one. The gap's coming down. Gaza's got so much better traction. He's better on the brakes. That Red Bull car is trying to win this race.
This is going to come down to the last couple of corners. Don't forget, there's no DRS, so Gaza's got to do it under braking or on the exit of the corner with this better traction. Quinn just sitting there thinking, these two come together, I can win this race. Gaza, can he do it just with half a second behind now? Is he going to manage it? Nick, where's the best chance? Where's his opportunity?
Well, there's 32 in the chat. Let us know who you think's going to finish on the top step here tonight. He could potentially get a good run here, send it down the inside. It's tricky. He's positioning his car as though he wants to. Joe's going to go slightly deep. Gaza losing the rear slightly. This is all about who can get on the traction, who's daring on the brakes, who's more confident in these conditions. Joe sliding even through the quicker corners. And look at that, the rear stepping out all the time for the McLaren. I think the final corner is going to be the corner that's going to decide this race, Cole.
Yes, and their ERS, is almost identical, so it's going to be all about traction. But look at the Red Bull all over the back of the McLaren. Is he going to get a better run out of the last corner? You can see the McLaren sliding. One corner to go. Is he close enough to have a dive bomb? No, he's not. There's a bit of a slide from the McLaren. A big slide from the Red Bull. Oh, not quite. Joe wins in Qatar. What a race.
Gaza finishes half a second behind, almost manages one more lap those Red Bulls needed. Quinn was there to join the party. Look at this, Miles is holding off the drivers behind. Will he jump ahead? Yeah, Miles, no, Lawrence jumps and seals the podium. Miles in fourth, Quinn drops down to fifth position. Only 2.5 tenths lost fourth place. Vitinho finishes in fifth, Rydog finishes in sixth, Hockey Knight in eighth position. Proverb, who had a nightmare start, is going to come across the line to finish in ninth. Linkfolk in the Sauber is going to come across the line to complete the top 10. Oh, what a finish to that race.
What a race that was. Jamie there with his 10-second time penalty knocks him out of the points. Mason gets that 12th place, so he'll get the final point. But what a race that was. Just half a second covering the front two. Gaza must be thinking, what if? Joe must be thinking, thank heavens for that.
Yeah, it looked like the Red Bull just had much more grip in terms of traction. He could brake later. The McLaren was really struggling and sliding the rear through the exits of some of those corners, waiting for Dr. Mew to finish. Only one retiree, and it was done on track, so Bolton would get himself a penalty for doing that. But we don't know who.
Linfalk DNF'd as well.
So
Linfalk has come up as DNF.
Yeah.
So did he hit the barrier or what? I don't know, but that's weird. That might be a glitch. We'll have to wait and see. But that promotes Jamie into 12th place, so he gets a point, I think. I will have to check that. I think he does.
Well, what a finish we've had. We've had two of those this season, haven't we? In Baku between Burjax and Jacob, with Jacob being the eventual winner there. So, yeah, two Brits on the podium there. But, what an ending between Joe and Gaza. Incredible last couple laps. And Joe's put in the chat, you had me sweating. So, hope everyone enjoyed that. The rain came early, and didn't disappoint.
So Jacko says he left the session too quick, and that's why Lynn Falk has been glitched into 15th. But what a race that was. Let me quickly run you through our order. Joe takes victory here, just half a second behind his Gaza. Lawrence gets the podium in 3rd place. Miles in 4th. Quinn in 5th. Vitinho in 6th place. Rydog in 7th. Hockey Nye in 8th. Wapping Proverb 9th. A good result in the top 10 for Proverb. Very pleased for him. Jack in 10th. Mason in 11th. Jamie in 12th. Matthias 13th. Max 14th. Lynn Falk in 15th. The Fury Formula 16th. Dr. Mew in 17th. And Bolton DNF'd early on, and he's in 18th place.
Well, Cole, it's time to pick our sim racing setup driver of the days. Of course, drivers will be able to vote between the two that we pick, and we'll be able to ask them a question that they'll answer on our Discord server. Cole, I'll let you do the honours first.
Oh, my word. Yes, I'm going to have to give it to Joe, I think. He was put under so much pressure. He had 2 warnings, knowing that one more, and that is curtains for his race win chances. So my question for you, Joe, how nerve-wracking were those last couple of laps, seeing both Red Bulls chase you down, and with you having 2 warnings, just 1 warning away from a penalty?
Yeah, well deserved from Joe. He looked early on that he had it in the bag, but it all changed when the weather came and Gaza was the stronger of the two. I am actually going to pick Gaza as my sim racing setup driver of the day. It was between himself and Miles. Miles had a good result up in 4th from 8th on the grid, but Gaza finished 2nd from 6th. And Gaza, what I would like to ask you is, at what point during those last few laps did you really think the win was on the cards? And did you think about just sending it down the inside of one of those corners on the last lap?
Yeah, they're 2, I think, very well-deserved nominations. You can vote for those 2 drivers tomorrow in the Discord. I mean, what a race that was, Nick. So close. Perfectly executed by quite a few drivers there, I must say. I mean, what that really does show that we're going to have some great racing in P2 and P1. P2 starts in 10 minutes. You'll be joined with J. Cole and Jamie for commentating. And we've got the top 2 tied on 121 points.
Well, let's enjoy that. But first, let's thank our sponsors, Cole. Of course, we couldn't offer what we do here at One Hub Racing without their support. So SimGrid, we run all of our championships through, and they help us get a whole bunch of new drivers every season. Vespertine support us through our merchandise, and you can win One Hub t-shirts and caps, depending on where you finish in the championships. Next Level Racing providing sim racing gear, in terms of setups and rigs and chairs and stands, you name it, they provided it for us. Sim racing setups, of course, you can get discount using our code on their setups, and you can win prizes every week for winning driver of the day. Pure Sim Gear, you can use our discount, and of course you can get a sim racing, a Pure Sim Gear socks or gloves. Cole, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining me in the commentary box. As he said, P2 tier live shortly, P1 tier later on. All the drivers facing the same conditions around Qatar. It's raining in the desert here tonight at One Hub.